Welcome along to what is going to be a stellar edition of Late Edition, breaking literally right now.
Just try and whack it. Yes, this is good. And again. That's it. And again. Try and breathe. Relax.
Well, it's no surprise his political career is on the ropes this evening, is it? Yes, Sir Keir Starmer has now been called out by the former head of the civil service and, I believe, the head of MI6 over the explanation for the China spy scandal. Meanwhile,
to go after the criminal gangs, to smash the gang networks.
To smash the smuggling gangs.
Smash the gangs.
To smash the gangs.
Well, GBNews exclusive reveals that more than 1,000 illegal migrants crossed the English Channel today alone. That's taken us past a grim milestone of 35,000 for the year. And on my earlier show, I revealed that one of the human traffickers appears to be anyway, a former member of the Afghan National Army. So well done, everyone. Meanwhile,
stamp duty is a bad tax. It is an unconservative tax. The next Conservative government will abolish stamp duty on your home.
Big speech is made the front of several national newspapers tomorrow. Kemi Badenoch's move to axe stamp duty, but does anyone believe him? Is the Tory brand damaged? And?
But we're going to be very threatening to them, far more threatening to them than they ever were with us, and that includes the people that fund them.
So President Trump just this evening actually doubled down on his bid to ban Antifa as a terrorist organisation and people who fund them. And you might have missed this one.
We have no men and women's sports. I mean, basic things. We're not going to take your child away and change the sex of your child.
What's fascinating, though, is just out of shot, he sat next to Mark Carney, who's the former head of the Bank of England and now, really weirdly, out of nowhere, somehow just became the leader of Canada. Anyway, Trump's banging on about trans ideology. Mark Carney's child is non-binary, and Mark Carney just sat there, didn't seem to say anything, didn't really want to say anything about it all. Very weird, but I think cuts to the core. What a weak man he probably is. And finally... No, I won't do the dance. Sorry. Bollywood is coming to the UK, and you know why? Sir Keir Starmer is in India, and in a masterstroke of diplomacy, he's convinced Bollywood to make films here in the UK. Dare I say, Starmer how? It's not quite there, that, is it? But we went for it anyway. Joining us this evening, the Director of Popular Conservatives, Mark Littlewood. We have got broadcaster Nina Mishkov and, as well, GBNews contributor, superstar comedian Steve and Allen. Now, though, it's your headlines with Tatiana Sanchez.
Patrick, thank you. The top stories. More than 1,000 small boat migrants have crossed the English Channel today, taking the total for the year to more than 35,400. The figure brings this year's total to around 1,500 short of last year's entire figure, a major blow to the government's pledge to smash the gangs. Maritime sources warn crossings could surpass last year's total within days. The Home Secretary says the crossings are utterly unacceptable, insisting the UK will restore order to its borders. Kemi Badenoch has vowed to abolish stamp duty, calling it a bad tax, as she delivered her first keynote speech as Conservative leader in Manchester. She's promising a new economic golden rule, splitting savings between cutting the deficit and lowering taxes, and pledging £47 billion in cuts, with £9 billion in new spending. Ms Badenoch told party members only the Conservatives can restore a strong economy and secure borders, accusing Labour of a borrowing and tax doom loop. Now, the man who carried out the Manchester synagogue attack made a 999 call in which he pledged allegiance to the so-called Islamic State group. Jihad al-Shami was shot dead by police outside the Heaton Park Hebrew Congregation Synagogue after a car and knife attack that saw 2 Jewish men killed. The call was made after al-Shami's car hit a wall after he drove into worshippers. Melvin Kravitz, 66, and 53-year-old Adrian Dolby died in the attack. Police said 4 more people arrested during the investigation were set to be released without charge. Donald Trump says he could visit the Middle East in the coming days, as he says talks are going very well. Speaking at the White House this evening, the US president said Gaza's ceasefire deal is very close. That's as a senior Hamas official said in Egypt today that Hamas and Israel have exchanged lists of detainees to be released on the basis of agreed criteria. The statement came after the second day of indirect ceasefire talks between Hamas and Israel, mediated by Egypt and Qatar, which concluded yesterday. The statement also mentioned that the Hamas delegation demonstrated the sense of responsibility required to achieve necessary progress and finalise the agreement. Currently, mediators are working to remove obstacles to the implementation of the ceasefire agreement. And Cristiano Ronaldo has become the first billionaire footballer, according to a report. The Al Nassr in Portugal striker's net worth has been estimated at £1.04 billion by the latest Bloomberg Billionaires Index. The valuation puts Ronaldo among a small group of billionaire athletes, including basketball greats Michael Jordan, Magic Johnson and LeBron James, as well as golfer Tiger Woods and tennis player Roger Federer. Well, it's all right for some, isn't it? Let's get back to Patrick.
Tune into GB News Radio wherever you are, online, on DAB digital radio, on TuneIn, on Radio Player and on your smart speaker. Just say, play GB News.
Welcome along to Late Edition. Let's get straight into Thursday's newspaper front pages. And the Daily Mail go with Kemi Badenoch fires up Tories with pledge to scrap hated stamp duty. Also an expose there from Victoria Beckham revealing that she had an eating disorder. And there you go. The Daily Express, I'll axe stamp duty to help millions buy a house. Yes, this is in relation on the Daily Express to Kemi Badenoch's speech at Tory party conference. She unveiled a whole host of different policies. This was one of them, and it was the rabbit out of the hat. We go over to The Guardian now. Ministers commit to overhaul of licensing laws in push for growth, which is, I think... I mean, just why have they gone for that? Of all of the different headlines that you could have gone for today, what's the point of that? I mean, it all just sounds dull. Anyway, The Sun. Now we're talking. I want Maddie back, calling me mum. This is, of course, Kate McCann, who's in court because of an alleged stalker case. The Times, not against her, by the way, but pays to stress. The Times, Kemi Badenoch builds case to abolish stamp duty. There's the story down the side, the sidebar of shame on The Times there is another damning revelation about Sir Keir Starmer and the Chinese spy scandal that won't go away. We'll get stuck into that shortly. The Metro... My Maddie hoax agony. It's Kate McCann again talking about the... apparently this Polish woman turned up on a doorstep at one point demanding a DNA test, saying that she thought she was Maddie and all of this stuff. It's obviously just pretty sick stuff, I suppose, isn't it? If indeed true. But yes, The Eye. Badenoch's move to axe stamp duty piles pressure on Reeves's budget. The Independent. Badenoch bets the House on a promise to end stamp duty. The Daily Telegraph. This is the other big one. The Daily Telegraph, which is case challenges Starmer over China. Former head of the civil service gets stuck into Starmer over China. And The Mirror. What I want most is for Maddie to be back calling me mum. So Maddie McCann and Kate McCann make the front of, I think, 3 national newspapers. Kemi makes 3, and the Starmer spy scandal makes 2. But we are going to start with the Starmer spy scandal, actually. And we're going to start with the Daily Telegraph. So, Mark, just to fill our viewers and listeners in quickly, there is now a procession of big hitters who are saying that Keir Starmer might not be telling the truth about the Chinese spy scandal. What's going on?
Yeah, it can get quite confusing. So the Crown Prosecution Service decided not to proceed with the prosecution, so the case was dropped, which is, you might say, convenient for those who want a good working relationship with China, because that would have been hugely embarrassing. The case seems to have been dropped because the Crown Prosecution Service were not furnished with evidence that it was the government's opinion that China posed a potential threat to our national security. We are now trying to work out why the CPS was not furnished with that information, which they were expecting, and therefore believed the prosecution could proceed. Starmer has so far said, well, that's on the Tories. You know, this is obviously his go-to line, isn't it? Anything that's going wrong, that's on the Tories, because we need to look at what happened at the time. But we now have a whole range of people who we don't often see on the front page of our national newspapers because they're not politicians. The former head of the civil service, the former head of MI6. So, you know, if you like, public servants rather than political enemies of the Prime Minister, who are scratching their heads, to put it mildly, about this. I've just looked through some of the details. Tom Tugendhat, admittedly a Conservative MP, but the Security Minister at the time, said on April the 15th last year, the hostile activity we have seen from China poses a serious threat to the security and well-being of the British people. So the big question is, why didn't Keir Starmer's government furnish the Crown Prosecution Service with simple testimony that it was the view of the British government that China does indeed represent a threat to our national security? Why?
Yeah, I mean, Steve, this is pretty damning stuff, really.
It's big, but I think first we should talk about the bigger story, which is how ministers commit to overhaul of licensing laws. We're not doing that one first. We're not doing that one first. International spy stories, but there's some paperwork.
Overhaul the licensing laws.
No, you're right. It's about trying to avoid embarrassment, isn't it? And Starmer's come up with this idea of saying, like, you have to prosecute people at the laws at the time, which is true. We all learnt that during Stuart Hall. That was the first time we learned that, oh, yeah, the laws back then didn't quite cover what you'd cover now, so you couldn't do them. But that's because there's a slight... And you're more of an expert on this than me, but I was listening to a podcast. That's where I get my info from these days, I'm afraid. Saying there's a slight rewording to the Official Secrets Act, which is this added thing, which means you're now spying for a foreign country is bad. But back then, you would have to say you were spying for an enemy state. And they just didn't want to do the bad vibes. Surely you could have put a phone call in to China saying, sorry about this, old chum, but if you didn't want to be called an enemy state, maybe don't spy on us.
It's the latest in a basket of things that have happened that have been quite uncomfortable, I think, for Sir Keir Starmer, the Attorney General, and some people behind the scenes. So you've had the Chagos issue that's gone on there, the idea that we've just kind of Starmer's wider network of international lawyers had somehow conspired to cost Britain a load of money whilst also giving away some of our sovereign territory. Bit weird. You've also had Labour's historic issues when it comes to the IRA and the letters of comfort there. Again, slightly odd. And then now here we are with what is being described as... Is it inexplicable, the word here that's in the...
Richard Dearlove called it unthinkable what had happened, the former head of MI6. Unthinkable.
So basically, if you look at it in a pragmatic way, this country, the Conservative government with Xi having pints of beer with Cameron, if you remember that, with Rachel Reeves courting China, if you like, we need to keep trade going with China. We can't not have trade with China. And at the same time, this case has come up, and it's embarrassing because you don't want to put China's back up with this. So Keir Starmer has danced around this and semantically said it's as you pointed out, this was not the case when the alleged crimes were committed, because China was not then deemed an enemy state. And it's the difference between an enemy state and a country that's actually a national security risk to us. So what the difference is, I don't know. But that is what he is using, because he said that, enemy state. Yeah, but nobody's called them an enemy state.
But what they are saying now, these different groups of people, are saying that this Labour government has politically intervened to crash a case about a Chinese spy scandal.
Probably, and so did the Conservative government.
Yeah, but this time they've been caught.
But
and we know about it. And I'm sorry, but this is really damaging for public trust in Sir Keir Starmer. Have they got British interests at heart?
Well, I mean,
you have financial British interests.
Well, he could go for Nina's line. He could come out and say, I decided to prioritise our trading relationship with the Chinese communists over and above the national security of the United Kingdom. It was a difficult decision, but that's what I've decided to do, to put the national security of the United Kingdom second and our cosy relationship with President Xi and future trading first. I mean, good luck if you try that line. Good luck if you try that line.
There is another possibility here, which, by the way, I'm not actually openly suggesting this, but people will be thinking this at home, which is that people are seriously compromised here.
I don't think the evidence is...
You're not going to go as far as Chairman Starmer and...
No. I think this is just trying to avoid embarrassment. I think it's more likely to be that. Again, it almost fits into that category of, don't presume conspiracy presume incompetence. I'm sure that's what's going on there. Because it was meant to be a trial about the individuals doing the alleged spying, and it was turning into a trial over whether or not China is our enemy. Which I can see that was not what you were trying to do. You were trying to work out whether someone had breached some security protocols, and then you end up with this because of the way that the Official Secrets Act was worded, you'd have to flag them as being the enemy. But I think they might have sucked it up. Maybe you didn't need to dance around it so much. You could have framed this in a way that, you know, we're saying you're enemy on this spy thing because we think you had some people spying over here, which clearly everyone's spying on everyone. It's not that much of an insult to a nation to say we think you're spying on us. So I think they could have spun this in a different way, but Starmer decided to, you know, try and make it go away, and it's been caught out.
Has the US called China an enemy state?
Doesn't matter whether the US does.
No, I'm asking as a matter of interest.
It needs to be a threat to national security.
I agree.
I've got some breaking news here. I've got some breaking news coming here. We've managed to get some footage, actually, of behind the scenes at Labour Party conference. I think, hang on, have we got it? Possibly shouldn't have done that on reflection, but we did.
When you had breaking news, I thought you got some footage of it.
I did.
I thought the ministers are going to be overhauling licensing laws live.
Oh, look at it. Look at this. Licensing law? God, rip it up. I don't know if I actually really have to say this now, but given that the people on the left running this country tend to be an utterly humorless bunch, I'm going to say that was a joke. That was actually a Chinese military parade, which, of course, I imagine Keir Starmer, Jonathan Powell and everyone connected to the Labour Party probably hate. So there you go. But yeah, this sense of it brewing there, Nina, it's not going away, the scandal.
No, but it was like Keir Starmer appointing Peter Mandelson, knowing all the past and just knowing he was the best man for the job and praying it wouldn't all come out. It's the same thing. It's, you know, he's a
bit grim though, Nina, isn't it? I mean, because you've actually just raised the Mandy stuff there, and like when you think about it, that's another scandal, isn't it?
Yeah, but the thing is, it's fine for Starmer because Mandy actually negotiated a good trade deal for us, and so they used him while he was still
before the Epstein stuff
absolutely.
Finally caught up with
Exactly, got what he wanted, and then who cares about Mandelson after that?
No, but
he's ruthless. It's totally ruthless.
This is of a different scale, I would suggest. I mean, Peter Mandelson had to go because of his inappropriate relationship with Epstein, right? I don't think there was any suggestion that Mandelson was, you know, selling secrets to some foreign power that was against us and we wanted to cover that up. This is a question about national security and whether there was political intervention to prevent a spying case go forward.
What was the
national security is your top priority as the Prime Minister of this country.
The main concern about the Chagos thing was that Mauritius is very, very close to China and that it could allow China to have access that it does not currently have, at least as far as we're aware, although given what this sounds like, they probably do. They probably built the thing. Have access to intelligence and British military intelligence in that region. And you know, why did we do that? And now we've got this thing. What is it that the Chinese have got on us?
Yeah. Well, I still... There's not that much information
Steve, tell us yourself.
I don't... If I knew, I wouldn't be here, would I? I'd be blackmailing someone into me getting a bigger house than I've currently got, of course. No, I know what you're saying. I think the Mauritius situation's worse than in terms of informing that worry than this. This just looks like an awkward thing was coming down the tracks because of the wording of a 100-year-old law, and they tried to avoid it in a way that... You're right, they think we'll get away with this. We'll keep our heads down, no one will find out, not realising what the newspapers are like. Of course we'll find out at some stage, whether it be the Mandy stuff or whether it be the let's just keep our heads down on the China stuff. And at some point you have to address the optics. And the optics are, it looks really dodgy because it's China that you've helped out.
Yeah, I mean, it's also... Keir Starmer's just decided to go over to India again, which is, yeah, OK, all right, fair enough.
The trade deal. I mean, the Tories were desperate to have a trade deal with both the US and India.
Yeah, but not at all costs. Starmer just signed the bits the Tories didn't want to sign.
Well, let's see what comes of it. I mean, already we've got the Bollywood movies. I know that's a frivolous thing, but that'll bring a lot of money and a lot of jobs.
Isn't it?
and a lot of jobs, and there will also presumably will come up to when he just meets Modi tomorrow the business of visas and the business of returning migrants, because you know that there is all of that to be discussed, and we haven't been able to get near India. I mean, Kemi Badenoch couldn't do it.
All right.
The Tories couldn't do it, and we've done that.
Well, it gives something more to talk about. We're going to talk about all of that and plus a little bit of this. Yes, Bollywood is coming to Britain. I'm going to be talking to a Bollywood star about that shortly, and that big speech as well. Kemi Badenoch scrapping stamp duty and a load of other stuff. Has she now got your vote? Stay tuned.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world. Am I allowed to talk then? No, that's it. This is where it matters. Real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
In fact, has Trump made a good start? No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints. How many fingers have I got up? About 10. So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m. only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
GB News Breakfast, every day from 6 a.m.
I was very lucky enough to be at the station today to welcome it in, be part of the group welcoming it into the station it's about 1:15 this morning. So I'm back down in London again now. It's been a busy old day, but yeah, I've been on that train previously on the main line. We took it out for a test run a couple of weeks ago, and we were in those wagons under moonlight. So this little engine pulled us along a branch line. And under test, but this incredible replica train, a complete train, genuinely is a direct link with the past, and lets us understand a little bit what it was like to have technology like this at the time, and then showcase this phenomenal little machine and this train, these vehicles, how we can solve problems today, actually, and how far we've come, and shows the heritage of Britain's genuinely incredible railway network.
It is a pretty little train, actually, isn't it? And if you say that it can help you solve problems today, in what way? I mean, this compared with that machine it is next to, it's incredibly primitive. So what can we learn from this little thing?
Well, I think the same problems extend as today, right? That we need to move people and things from A to B. And what's so lovely about seeing a machine like this, locomotion number 1 replica, of course, is that it genuinely shows us how someone thought, I've got a problem. How do I move coal and people from up there to over there? And actually the answer was railways. And so often today, the most efficient way of moving people around still is railways.
GB News, the People's Channel.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power? Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber. Get behind the headlines with Chopper's political podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics. We'll see where this ruling takes us. These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's political podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
Welcome back to Late Edition. Now, one of the big stories of the day is that the Prime Minister, Sir Keir Starmer, is in India, and in a diplomatic masterstroke, he has convinced Bollywood, to come and make films in the UK, creating over 3,000 jobs, apparently boosting our economy by millions of pounds, if not billions, actually. But the Indian government decided to slap Sir Keir Starmer's face all over the place today. They just put it everywhere, everywhere, everywhere. Apparently, the most common question in India today was, who the heck is that? But, yeah, Sir Keir Starmer's face, they've rolled out the metaphorical red carpet for him in a big way. So there you go. They obviously care about each other as part of a wider trade deal. I'm very pleased to be joined now by Bollywood actor Sam Heaney. Sam, thank you very, very much. Tremendous to see you. Can I ask you first, what Bollywood films have you been in? What's been your experience with Bollywood?
So I started filming in London about 10 years ago. And then after doing many Indian films, I went over to India, and probably my two biggest films are Sam Bahadur, which is about a legendary Indian army soldier, and Kesari Chapter 2, which was about a very sad thing in history about the Jallianwala blast that happened in Amritsar. So, yeah.
Wow. Can I just ask on a slightly personal note, so how did you get into Bollywood?
So I graduated from a performing arts school in London and met a guy called Sahil, who was kind of a casting coordinator. I started off as a backing dancer and then just started to get kind of very small roles and worked my way up really to bigger roles. I'm not a Bollywood star, but I've played like the evil white man, the evil Britisher type of roles. So there's a big market.
Do they ever have the nice white man?
Yeah, there is a little bit of that. Yeah, not much of it, but
yeah, brilliant stuff. Oh, man, fantastic. So right. So the point here is that Bollywood's obviously big business in India, clearly, but it's going to be big business for Britain as well, isn't it?
Yeah. So I mean, in 2015, there'd be about 200 Indian films per year coming over to the UK. And it's kind of, now there's a lot less, so it's been quiet for the last few years. And then now we've just heard that there's going to be some more coming, so yeah.
Wow, you'll be in demand, mate. I look forward to it. And can I just ask, is it? Oh, I mean, again, I've only seen. I would imagine like quite a few people. I'm in England anyway. I've only seen little snippets of Bollywood, but. It just seemed very chaotic, very lots of dancing, all of that stuff. I mean, it must be incredible to work on.
Yeah, I mean, I was very lucky. I remember when I was younger, we'd do these massive dance numbers. There'd be like, 100 backing dancers in London. There was one called Houseful 4. We were actually standing on a double-decker bus, doing the dancing and everything.
Wow.
Yeah, it was
amazing.
Amazing, yeah.
Fantastic. Well, we'll be seeing a lot more, that Bollywood's back in Britain in a big way. Thank you very much. Sam Healy there, who is a Bollywood actor, soon to be Bollywood star, by the way. But there we go. Well, there you go. So Keir Starmer's been to India, and we're going to get some Bollywood out of it. Do you feel good about
it? Help my acting career get a second wind, isn't it?
You too could play evil white man.
I reckon I could. If you check me out on IMDb, I'm sure I've played it a couple of times.
Yeah.
Whether deliberately or not.
Yeah, exactly. Well, there we go. Right, let's just go to Daily Express. I've had enough of Bollywood, to be honest with you. But cheers, Keir. So let's go to the Daily Express. It's Kemi's stuff. So. Mark, has this got cut through? Has Kemi Badenoch done a speech today talking about stamp duty and all of that stuff? And is this going to win in the next general election?
Oh, no, I don't want to big it up that much. One swallow does not a summer make. But it's definitely been her best 24 hours as leader of the Tory party. I mean, these are helpful front pages. Yes, it tends to be the more conservative-leaning papers that are giving her the rub of the green, but Team Badenoch will be delighted by this response. It was a very good speech. People a few days ago were saying how dicey this conference could be for her. She's managed to get a message across that we're going to cut spending and reduce tax on the back of that and get the deficit under control. It was a well-delivered speech. It was a very human speech. Sometimes she speaks a bit too much, just like an engineer for my liking, but she was talking in a pretty personal way. Stamp duty is the big one, the headline grabber here, but there was a lot more in it as well, cutting the welfare bill. I think it's £47 billion, massive reductions, not going to provide mobility support to people who've got acne or tennis elbow, all that sort of stuff. So,
or indeed alcoholics.
Oh, exactly. Yeah, the idea you give a car to an alcoholic, yeah, it's pretty extraordinary. Pretty extraordinary. Going to slash the civil service, by a third. That's going to be about 150,000 civil servants out of a job. Meat and drink to people like me. Does it mean she's going to win the next election? No, I don't think you can go that far. But she's going to be pretty pleased about how the last 96 hours have gone, and particularly the last 24.
Because most people have never heard of her. I was listening to a focus group thing on the radio the other day, and people were just saying, they showed a photo, well, who's she?
Yeah, but therefore being on the front page of half the newspapers helps her in that regard. Right?
I'm saying that's what it helps her. So she saved her skin a bit.
I do think at some point there people have to take personal... I get it. I mean, I took the mick out of Ed Davey when he was going to boycott Trump's visit, and it was like, no one has a clue who he is. But at some point, people do have to take personal responsibility. Like, if you don't know who the leader of the opposition is, then...
Yeah, but the leader of the opposition...
You're an idiot.
No, I mean, the leader...
You are.
Well, maybe they are, but you know, there are so many... Well, we've got very many idiots, then. we do...
Well, she also could have stopped more fare dodgers in Stratford, and that would have helped her profile. So, you know, she's not been doing that side of it. The stamp duty thing is quite popular. One of the people, I think, who was loving it was Angela Rayner. So you get people like that on board. I imagine that's going to play well. No one seems to have played this angle. This is what I think it's about. She knows she doesn't have to deliver on this. It's so far, you don't have to cost it. It's years until there's an election. She's not going to win it anyway. So, of course, you might as well do mood music, make the sounds that the newspapers like. But also, it's stamp duty. She's meant that Rachel Reeves is now hemmed in. Because she can't do any of the other taxes on working people. They pledged that. She wants to do something with stamp duty. Well, not now. You've got this big story. Everyone now thinks stamp duty and thinks it could be abolished. It's not like Rachel Reeves can increase it in the budget now. So it's been a lovely bit of chess moves that happened.
Oh, that's a really... You're not just a pretty face.
Some people say not even a pretty face.
Yeah, well, quite. Well, I don't know. I was speaking to a Bollywood casting couch person earlier on, and shortly before it got weird, he told me that he thought he had high hopes for you, actually. But yes, maybe potentially back Labour into a corner. I mean, we are about to have what I think most people think is going to be a pretty disastrous budget for Labour. Is it November the 23rd, is it?
Yeah, I think...
26th, I think.
Yeah, happy run-up to Christmas, everybody. You were going to make you poor. But what she's saying is it's aspiration versus stifling it all. Can we actually hear from Kemi? Have we got Kemi? Come on, Kemi. Let's hear you.
I have looked at the rates you have to pay to see if we can lower them. I have decided that we can't, because that simply wouldn't be enough. Conference, the next Conservative government will abolish stamp duty on your home.
All right, there you go. Look, trying to set a stall up for aspiration versus Labour's relentless tax hikes, wasn't she?
Yeah. I mean, yeah, look, it's a long, long road back for the Conservative Party and for her, but you've got to start somewhere, right? And I thought that was a pretty good performance from her today. If you're going to decide which voters you're going to go for, you've also got to decide which voters you're not going to go for, right? So she has decided that the cohort she wants to start winning over in an attempt to get the Tory poll ratings ticking up rather than ticking down, the people who are in work, feel their tax is too high, feel they're penned in because things like can't send their kids to private school because the money doesn't stretch far enough, or young people thinking of buying their first house can't do it. She's aiming for them, right? Yeah. And she is saying that if you are one of the people claiming welfare with rather lame reasons for so doing, she specifically said, look, if you've got anxiety or ADHD, that cannot be a reason to never work. Yeah, so she's picked her lane. Well, she's also, I think, trying to make the economy the Conservatives' key thing, right? She knows it's very hard for the Conservatives to win the argument on, say, immigration against Farage. Right, but potentially she could actually say, we're the people who are going to get your taxes down, spending under control, and I would say it does all add up. The fact that she's been quiet, people have said, for a year, is she has painstakingly got every decimal point right here.
Well, there you go. All right, look, we're going to come back to this coming up in just a moment.
But we're going to be very threatening to them, far more threatening to them than they ever were with us, and that includes the people that fund them.
Show live, which is midnight tonight. It's every single night. It's on until 2 a.m. Bev Turner's with you tonight. Last night they had Ben Leo Rampage. So it's genuinely one of the best pieces of television that I have seen. Ben Leo going through the protests in New York. What will they be up to tonight? Also, we're going to be talking about the McCanns are on the front pages again, and Victoria Beckham has finally told us all what many people thought we might have already known. Stay tuned.
Good evening. This is your latest GB News weather update from the Met Office. There is a little bit of rain pushing its way southwards across northern parts through tonight into tomorrow, but many places staying largely dry. The rain in the north is due to a frontal system that's already made its way in across northern and western Scotland, and with this we're seeing the winds strengthening further as we go through the night, risk of gales in some exposed spots. The rain does also edge its way southwards into southern parts of Scotland, perhaps northern England and Northern Ireland as we head towards dawn tomorrow, but further south across much of England and Wales staying largely dry, some clear spells around, and with light winds, clear spells, temperatures are going to drop and there could be some locally dense patches of fog forming as we head through the early hours of tomorrow morning. Otherwise, through tomorrow morning then, a mostly dry start across much of Scotland, the rain having pushed its way in towards the south, and so the borders area waking up to a bit of a damp picture, and also quite damp across Northern Ireland, and there will be a few spots of rain across some parts of northern England where the cloud is thick enough, but across the rest of England and Wales really it's a dry start to the day, and there will be some sunshine around, and so that sunshine should help clear any mist and fog patches that do develop overnight. Staying pretty grey, quite murky with low cloud and drizzly rain across Northern Ireland, southern Scotland, parts of northern England and perhaps the far north of Wales as well through tomorrow. Otherwise, a generally dry picture, often quite cloudy, but there should be some sunshine breaking through, and in the sunshine feeling relatively warm with temperatures in the high teens for most of us. Overnight there will be a bit more damp weather pushing into parts of western Scotland. That will clear though as we go through into Friday, and so actually Friday for many, away from perhaps Orkney and Shetland where there'll be a few showery bursts of rain around, actually Friday looks like a largely dry day with some decent sunshine on offer. Quite a bit of cloud to come as we go through this weekend, particularly on Sunday, but most of us will see the sunshine at times. Bye-bye.
Decisions made in Washington aren't just shaping America, they're shaping Britain too. From migration to global security, from crime to health. Whatever happens in the White House today
will be felt in your town or city tomorrow.
That's why The Late Show is live from Washington, D.C.
Cutting through the politics to show you what it all means for Britain.
The Late Show live every night at midnight.
Only on GB News,
Britain's news channel.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation,
no,
isn't it? Because the failure is...
You're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff. Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood. So join me on Jubes & Co. weeknights at 6 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Welcome back to Late Edition. Shortly, there is a big update for you on digital IDs we'll be talking to. But President Trump's not taking any prisoners.
The epidemic of left-wing violence and Antifa-inspired terror has been escalating for nearly a decade. At universities, Antifa has organized riotous mobs to attack campus speakers. I see it all the time. And these are agitators, anarchists, and they're paid. But they have been very threatening to people, but we're going to be very threatening to them, far more threatening to them than they ever were with us, and that includes the people that fund them.
Actually, this is a contrast here, which maybe perhaps Bev is going to mention, but we had that diabolical stuff, pro-Palestine stuff on our campuses yesterday. President Trump coming out there saying he's going to slam down on Antifa on US campuses. Bev Turner joins us now. She's stateside, Late Show Live. Bev, go on then, talk to me, what's coming up?
Thank you, Patrick. Yeah, we've got one of the guys who was at the hearing today in the White House is going to be in the studio with me to explain this. He was there at this absolute dynamite hearing, actually. And to see Antifa actually labelled and scrutinised, and for Donald Trump to say they exist, they are funded, we're going to hit back on them harder than they can imagine, is incredibly interesting because, of course, they're not officially an organised group. They are disparate individuals with no clear leader, and I imagine he's going to try and get to the bottom as part of this plan to shine a light on Antifa. He's going to get to the bottom of who they are, who is funding them. Anti-fascists, of course. They think they have a monopoly on pushing back against hate, and I love the fact that he's going after them. Just Thank you, President Trump. I think it's superb. Also tonight, I don't know whether you've just heard that latest headline about the fact that they've arrested somebody for those wildfires at the Palisades. Do you remember? In LA last year, we had celebrities crying over their decimated olive groves outside their beautiful orangeries. It was awful. The area itself was incredibly special, very old, beautiful buildings. And of course, it was blamed at the time on global warming. Well, someone's been arrested today for setting those fires alight, so we'll let you know what that's all about. And also, I was fascinated, like you, Patrick, about Kemi Badenoch saying that she's going to scrap stamp duty. It suddenly gives us clear water between the parties, doesn't it, in terms of their economic policy. But there's one governor in particular here in America who would say that is not going far enough. He wants to take taxes off all house exchanges, whether you're selling them or whether you're buying them. So we're going to make a comparison to see whether we could ever get to a place like that. It'd be nice, wouldn't it?
Well, it would be absolutely lovely. It would be absolutely lovely. I mean, I do think there's a couple of things that stood out for me from that Kemi Badenoch speech. Everyone takes whatever they want from it based on their own personal experiences and where they're at in life. And, you know, for me personally, the two things that stood out was that, you know, at the moment, you know, was when George gets to a certain age, at the moment, with this 20% hike on private school fees, like it's not an option for us where we are at the moment. And if we decide to have a second child, we would have to get a bigger flat. Well, we couldn't do that with the stamp duty that we'd have to pay at the minute. So I'm looking at what Kemi Badenoch's done. I'm thinking, well, actually, hang on a minute. This is sounding pretty good. So we'll see. Anyway, go on.
First time my ears pricked up from something the Conservatives have said for a very, very long time. And I think it's an absolutely genius move, although there is obviously some nuance to it, as you've just been discussing with Steve there, about what this means for her and what kind of chess move she's playing. But yeah, it's going to be a really busy show. Great guests. Stay with us until 2 a.m.
All right, Bev Turner, fantastic. All right, so that is going to be midnight till 2, late show live. Let's just revisit the Daily Telegraph because there's a story about digital IDs here being used to access tax records. Mark.
Yes, well, we were told, weren't we, when Starmer came out with let's bring in digital ID cards, that the reason was to identify people just to make sure that you're not working illegally, right? That was the whole point of it. Lo and behold, digital ID cards are set to be used to access tax records. The controversial ID card could also be used to claim benefits, book childcare, apply for school places and expansion of the Prime Minister's flagship policy. This absolutely nails why it's got to be killed stone dead, because the mission creep you get in this is extraordinary, and we will have to go through this National Identity Register to do anything in Britain. Law-abiding people, and it won't do anything to catch the bad uns.
Steve, your views on this? Yeah,
it is terrifying, isn't it? It feels sometimes that the mission creep is the mission, that it is deliberately set up so that we can slowly go, and then we'll just throw it's just like with the it's just your universal tax number, we'll just slap that on there, and then eventually there'll be some chip in your skin where you can't do anything without it. Because it doesn't feel fair that we would be the ones being punished to try and stop the issue of people working in the UK illegally. I don't do that. If I were working here illegally, then fair enough, maybe I should have to have one of these things. But it feels like we're being punished. You'd still get the same... If anything, you'd be forcing people who've arrived in the UK through irregular routes, to quote the King, to have to work in the black economy. Because, if anything, you make the problem you're claiming to make better worse. But, I mean, you can't work anywhere other than the illegal economy.
Yeah, no, quite. I mean, this is going to end up... you know, I saw a thing from China. China's getting a lot of airtime. So I saw a thing from China where they've now got a huge spike in homelessness because... there's especially young men are falling foul of the social credit system that they've got over there. They've got blocked out their bank accounts. They're not allowed to do anything. They're just cast out. They're sleeping on verges and stuff.
It's horrendous. I mean, China has always been as cruel as that and continues to be so because they want that much control. But on the other hand, if we're talking about digital ID, people of Estonia, I mean, who cares about Estonia, but there's Estonia, a very balanced society, you know, akin to sort of Norway and happiness and all of that sort of levels. They have a very, very well-working digital system, and there seem to be no big...
It's kind of non-centralised, isn't it? They use some blockchain technology to do it.
Or unless it's working so well, they're not allowed to criticise it.
Well, there could be that.
All right, loads more coming your way. Coming up in a moment, 2 farmers in Shropshire painted St George's flags on their cows to show support for British farming. Amazing. Stay tuned.
I forecast a perfect holiday in the sun.
Weather looking good then?
For sure, and no worries about our travel insurance.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations forecast.
There are a couple of watch points with the weather across southern Europe as we go through tomorrow. Heavy thundery rain around eastern Spain, and Storm Barbara affecting southeastern parts of Europe, pushing into western Turkey, could bring 100 to 150 millimetres of rain. Elsewhere, lots of dry weather, but like I said, across eastern Spain towards the Balearics, heavy thundery rain through the next few days could bring 200 millimetres or so in some places, which is around 3 times the October average. I'll see you again soon. Bye-bye.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations forecast.
In the GB newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK.
We're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News.
The People's Channel.
Britain's news channel.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power? Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber. Get behind the headlines with Chopper's political podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics. We'll see where this ruling takes us. These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's political podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
Mornings don't have to be tiresome, especially if you have the right company.
Wake up to news as it happens, opinion and debate, and of course, a little bit of entertainment too.
Because when the kettle's on, we're on.
That's Breakfast on GB News, a show worth waking up for.
Every morning from 6 a.m.
Only on the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
We'll spread the news, you spread the word.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation, isn't it? Because the failure is...
You're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff. Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood. So join me on Jubes and Kerr weeknights at 6 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
So he can say whatever he wants.
A straight-talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Miriam, you can't be serious. Scrapping the triple lock on state pensions? Madness.
Andrew, we just can't carry on pretending. The numbers just don't add up. We've got to be honest with people. We've got to face the facts. That's what people want.
Well, that's what you get on GB News and on Britain's newsroom. Lively debates, lively conversation.
Britain deserves a newsroom that puts the facts and your voice first, and we're not afraid to hold power to account.
And each other. So join me, Andrew Pearce.
And me, Miriam Gates, for Britain's Newsroom, weekdays from 9:30 on GB News.
The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Welcome back to Late Edition. So, this is a story that's not on one of the front pages, but it's inside the papers. 2 farmers in Shropshire have painted St George's flags on their cows to show support for British farming. Ed Bunning and Sarah Mottershed sprayed the England flag onto their herd near Brignorth to highlight the difficult time farmers are facing under new inheritance tax rules, which apparently are just going to be scrapped by, I think, every other party other than Labour. The so-called tractor tax means farms worth over £1 million now face a 20% rate. The pair say it's a bit of fun that's raised smiles from passing motorists, but does carry a serious message. Well, Steve, look, you know, do you think the council's going to come and try and take those cows down?
I imagine so. Yeah, they'll be straight on that. I know we're now not just talking about the flag debate, are we? But I do think there's a difference between flying a proper flag to be properly proud of your nation in a proper way and painting a thing that you walk past. I know it's their cows and actually knock yourself out with that. But where I live, there's the normal bins in the park. But they're black bins, which they've just put the red cross on, which is not then the flag. The white is an essential part of the St George's cross, surely. So it's just looking like a bit of borderline graffiti. I know it's a line which I keep doing, but it's my favourite joke on this at the moment. Don't put the St George's cross on mini roundabouts because it means from Google Earth the UK looks like it's held on by screws. That's the biggest pushback against it that I can think.
Yeah. There's actually a little mini rebellion going on my road where I live now.
Is there? What's happening?
Well, someone put up quite a small Union Jack in one of their windows on one of the flats, and then I've started to see a couple more. And I've started wanting to, but it's like, I feel like it must be like what it's like to be in the Masons. You know, you walk around and you're like, all right.
All right, yeah.
You're all right. Oh, yeah, there you go. You're the one with the... you are, aren't you?
Isn't it ridiculous that it can seem such a furtive thing to do, to fly the nation's flag?
I know.
Because I think every other country will have a right wing that loves its flag. Of course they do. That's going to happen. But the rest of the country doesn't give up the flag and go, oh, it's toxic, it's racist. And so the whole problem's been caused by non-racist people shying away from the flag. Everyone should use it. It's an I'm Spartacus thing. If everyone flies the flag, it can't be racist. It can't bring with it any intent that Gary Neville thinks it's got. So more flags would be better. Simple maths, isn't it?
Yeah, that's why I like it everywhere. Well, what's been great about this thing is it has been a spontaneous outburst, right? It hasn't been organised by, some far-right group. It's farmers deciding to paint it on their cows. It's people randomly painting it. I mean, I'm rather with Steve. I think just getting out some red paint and putting it on a black dustbin is pretty goddamn unimaginative, right? But
why not?
But nevertheless, when you find something white and you're not committing vandalism and you want to put the red cross alongside it, I love this spontaneous outpouring of patriotism. I'm all in favour of.
On the other hand, in America, they are completely bonkers about the flag, and it just gets to you because it is so aggressive. No, it's not. It's so aggressive. It really is. And people sort of honking their horn. Are you a patriot or are you not? It's nothing to do with that.
The question is yes.
Well, of course people are patriotic, but you don't have to shout. No, you don't have to shout it. You can be
quiet patriotism.
Well, absolutely. Why not?
Yeah. Well, I just feel like we've had non-reason. This is the thing. I feel like, OK, quiet patriotism, fine. I just feel like we've had no patriotism for quite a while. And it's like nice to actually just have a beer. Now everyone's like, yes, come on.
Quiet patriotism and no patriotism sound the same.
Yeah.
No, but the thing is, if you're confident in who you are and where you come from, you don't need to go...
No, but it's a reaction. It's a reaction to so many other flags which aren't the St George's Cross or the Union Jack flying from everywhere. That's what it's a reaction to, right?
But then the thing is, I think this is because you're a huge football fan, and part of the football culture is the flying of the flag, and in an aggressive way. And it's like we're going to war. It is aggressive.
I've just got to do a quick bit of housekeeping.
It's hardly advanced weaponry.
Especially if you're watching the replay of this show, that will now make it 10 to 6 in the morning. You might have seen some hand gestures there from Nina Mishkov that were very good intention, but of course, legally I've got to apologise for. But good stuff. I enjoyed it anyway. I initially only caught it out of the corner of my eye, and I thought, no, she's not. She is. Good. Right, here's a whiz-through of your front pages for Thursday. The Daily Mail, Kemi fires up the Tories with a pledge to scrap hated stamp duty. The Guardian, ministers commit to overhaul of licensing laws in push for growth. That's the big one. The big one. The Sun. I want Maddie back. Calling me mum is Kate McCann. She's in court. It's a stalking case, not against her. Again, some random Polish woman who claimed to be Maddie. The Times. Badenoch builds case to abolish stamp duty. The Metro, Maddie hoax agony. Again, this has made the front of a few newspapers, including the Daily Mirror. What I want most is for Maddie to be back, calling me mum. The Daily Telegraph, as well, go for case challenges Starmer over China. This is going to be big. It's going to keep coming. I sense that we are just one or two more revelations away from this, from it being, I would argue, maybe the kind of scandal that it should be. Daily Express, I'll axe stamp duty to help millions buy a house. And the Eye, Kemi Badenoch's move to axe stamp duty piles pressure on Reeves's budget. Thank you very much, everybody. My wonderful panel. It's over to Bev in America for Late Show Live.
Thank you, Patrick. We've got a fantastic show today. We're going to be talking to two people that were in that room with President Trump just a few hours ago talking about Antifa. They were two of the people giving evidence there at that hearing today. And also the wildfires in California last year. Someone's been arrested for that. Also, corruption in the Biden family being exposed, some might say finally. And how does Kemi Badenoch's housing policy potential compare to here in America? See you in a minute.
You could bank an incredible £30,000 in tax-free cash to spend however you like. And if that wasn't enough, you'll also get to drive away in this brand new motorhome. This brand new 2025 Benamar Primero could be yours. It comes with all the mod cons you'd expect from a vehicle worth over £74,000 and comfortably sleeps 4 people. This prize package is worth over £104,000. For another chance to win, text WIN to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text bonus to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB16 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 31st of October. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power? Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber. Get behind the headlines with Chopper's political podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics. We'll see where this ruling takes us. These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's political podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
So he can say whatever he wants.
A straight talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country. There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor. Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m. weekdays here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
5 hosts, 5 opinions, 5 fearless debates,
5 unfiltered takes on the day's news.
5 reasons not to be anywhere else on Saturday night.
This is the Saturday 5. You got me. You got me good there.
Britain's biggest Saturday night TV show.
It's not a bad brand.
Yeah.
Uncensored.
Very, very racist tonight on the unpredictable.
What did she say? Can you translate it for us?
And always entertaining.
And how can a country go from